Well, we're actually just looking you up on the internet.
My name's Anthony.
Hi, Anthony.
Nice to meet you. I live here in Hood River. So we wanted to bring this resolution proposal and make sure that got to the city council members and the mayor. Also would like to be a part of the meeting that this agenda actually gets put on. The Alberta Tar Sands up in Canada are the most environmentally destructive project on the planet.
Here to raise awareness about the Alberta Tar Sands and the Tar Sands Giga Project, and be in solidarity with the Klamath Nation, who are proposing to stop the heavy haul giant machinery from entering the Tar Sands region.
The actual extraction zone right now with the open pit mines is the size of the UK.
A lot of the equipment is being made in Korea and shipped. It's planned to be shipped up to Colombia.
Tar sands actually stretch from Alberta to Saskatchewan to Manitoba, so across the whole north.
It's a native issue, it's an environmental issue, it's a labor and worker rights issue.
They're proposing to put in 12 nuclear reactors in northern Alberta. We have some uranium deposits, nuclear gas. They're going to power up everything essentially that they can to get at this oil.
It's the year anniversary of the oil disaster in the Gulf. So I guess it's there's actions happening all over the country.
There's been actions in at least 4 countries that I'm aware of, in New Zealand, in Canada, in the UK, and here in the United States.
Oh, I seen the tar sand video, and it really touched me because the way it's affecting the water and all the life that springs from that. So I'm here today to support what we've all been, us Indian people have been fighting for, is this Mother Earth.
We have folks from all over here, from BC, Canada, from Alberta, from the Columbia Gorge, from Portland, from Bend, from Olympia, from Eugene.
We do know that there are people as far as like Trinidad and Tobago and South America, you know, the Congo, where there are tar sands, and they're going to be using the technology that they developed in Alberta to go in and mine in other parts of the world.
The oil is being shipped from indigenous lands in Alberta and making the land so toxic that indigenous people can hardly live there, with respiratory disease, lupus, cancer, lesions on moose and salmon.
We've said that it's genocide. You know, the Canadian government would disagree, and so would the American government. But we do understand like the need for cross-border alliances, particularly because of things like NAFTA, the MIA, the SPP, different international trade agreements, because we're locked into an energy agreement with the U.S. where 63% of our energy resources come to the U.S. no matter what.
We call it energy security, but really it's just you know, the governments of Canada and America trying to secure energy for themselves.
You would think in a place like Alberta, where there's so much heavy crude and regular crude, it's like the Texas of the North, that we would have the cheapest gas prices. You would think a community of Fort Chipewyan and other places where the resource extraction is happening would have free oil and gas.
American military in particular is the largest consumer of Alberta tar sands, and you know, those tar sands are coming from Dene and Cree territory and Métis and Blackfoot territory.
This whole scheme is completely undemocratic. Through the carbon trading system the Obama administration and other governments are setting up.
Indigenous sovereignty goes back to traditional laws, and the way a nation defines themselves, you know, comes back to their traditional laws and their ways of life, based on hunting, fishing, based on how they use the land and protect and maintain the land.
They take these big big pipes, and they shoot steam and chemicals into the earth, and they heat up the oil, and so it separates out with those chemicals and with the hot water, the steam, and then they suck it out.
It takes 3 times as much energy to extract tar sands as conventional oil.
And what they do is, instead of leaving a big giant tar sands tailings pond of chemicals on the land, they leave it in the earth. And they're trying to tell our people and the people in Alberta and in Canada that it's safe, and we know better.
In fact, there's more energy put into tar sands extraction than you would get from it. So it's purely about corporate greed at the expense of indigenous peoples, wildlife, the biggest wilderness on the continent, water quality, the purity of the Columbia River, and all these communities.
If we allow the tar sands equipment and Exxon and Imperial Oil to solidify this is a route to get that tar sands equipment up to Alberta, Canada, it only solidifies the need for our dams.
This is a very very special river. It's a very important river for people, for animals, for our community.
Dams have almost directly correlated with a drop in salmon population. There used to be the industry, it was logging and it was salmon that held and tied native people to their land and European Oregonians and Washingtonians to their land.
There are a few communities that actually brought back salmon to the river where it was almost wiped out. They brought it back through the traditional first salmon ceremonies. They didn't do that with the help of the governments, they didn't do that with the help of corporations. They did that on their own. They did that with the elders and the youth communicating and learning from each other so they could actually find ways to bring that back.
We know we come from the Mother Earth. We love our Mother Earth. We were taught like that by our ancestors.
Because we see that if we can stop one of the tentacles from happening, we can send a message to industry that people don't want heavy crude. They don't want this kind of extractive industry, and they realize the impact that it's having on all people, not just First Nations people, not just Canadian people or Americans, but what's really going to happen with the tar sands.